The Pentagon bombed it. Again, and again, and again. 5,000 strikes in 17 days, the most intense American bombing campaign since the Iraq War. And then, last Tuesday night, 80 Israeli aircraft dropped 230 bombs on Tehran in a single raid. The explosion was so powerful, it was felt 40 kilometers away. Buildings collapsed, the ground shook like an earthquake, and when the dust settled and the satellite images came back, American and Israeli intelligence analysts stared at their screens and arrived at a conclusion that no one in any press conference will say cleanly. They missed. Not the target was hit. They missed what was underneath it. Because underneath the facility they bombed, underneath the mountain, underneath the concrete, underneath everything their bunker busters could reach, Iran's real weapon was already gone, already moved, already firing from somewhere else. Iran spent 20 years building something that the most powerful military in human history cannot destroy. And this war just proved it works. Welcome. Subscribe right now, because what we are about to reveal in the next several minutes is the most important military story of this entire conflict. The story that explains why 17 days of relentless bombing has not stopped Iran's missiles, why the degradation numbers keep being announced at Pentagon press conferences and the missiles keep flying anyway, why the most sophisticated Air Force in human history is winning every battle and somehow not winning the war. The answer is underground, and it has been down there for 2 decades. Let's go. Start with the scale, because before you can understand what America and Israel are up against, you need to understand the sheer magnitude of what Iran built underground while the world was focused on its surface-level military capabilities. Iran has not one underground missile base, not 10, not 100. According to the IRGC's own commander of aerospace forces, if Iran unveiled a new underground missile city every single week, it would take more than 2 years to show them all. More than 100 underground missile cities, built across all 31 provinces of Iran, buried in mountains, carved into bedrock, hidden under deserts and forests and cities. A subterranean military architecture that has been under continuous construction since 1984, 42 years, and that the outside world only began to glimpse when Iran started revealing pieces of it strategically as psychological warfare beginning in 2015. The largest of these facilities, unveiled just before this war began, contains at minimum hundreds and potentially thousands of ballistic missiles stored on automated railway systems inside cavernous tunnels running for kilometers under solid rock. Khaibar Shikan missiles, Haj Qasem, Imad, Sajil, God H, Pave cruise missiles. In a single frame of the footage Iran released, analysts counted 78 advanced ballistic missiles in one section of one tunnel of one facility. One section, one tunnel, one facility, out of more than 100. And here is the engineering reality that makes this network almost impossible to destroy from the air. These facilities are not buried under a few meters of dirt and concrete. They are carved into mountains, hundreds of meters of solid granite and limestone above the deepest chambers. Multiple entrances, some facilities have dozens, separated by thousands of meters, connected by tunnel gates and blast doors that compartmentalize damage. False entrances built specifically to absorb bomb strikes while the real entrances remain untouched. An automated rail system that moves missiles through the tunnels without human exposure to the surface, and shoot and scoot capability, meaning the mobile launchers emerge, fire, and return underground before a counterattack can be organized. You cannot bomb what you cannot reach, and you cannot reach what is buried under 500 meters of mountain. Like this video right now, because now we get to the weapon that America brought to try to solve this problem, and why even that weapon is reaching its limits. The GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, 30,000 pounds, 20 feet long, the only conventional weapon on Earth designed specifically to reach deeply buried underground facilities, carried exclusively by the B-2 stealth bomber, 2 at a time. The B-2 flies to the target and drops both bombs on the exact same entry point in sequence. The first bomb drills through the concrete and rock. The second bomb follows the channel created by the first and detonates deeper inside. It is the most powerful non-nuclear bunker buster ever built, and it is the weapon America used on Fordo, on Natanz, on the Talagon 2 facility at Parchin, the site where satellite imagery from March 11th showed 3 massive penetration holes punched directly on the top of a suspected nuclear weapons testing chamber that Iran had been hiding from the IAEA for years. A facility originally used to test the shockwave generator for a nuclear warhead in 2003, a facility that was never once visited by international inspectors. 3 bunker buster holes into a nuclear weapons development site that the entire international community never knew existed. That is what this war has revealed about what Iran was building underground. But here is the military reality that the Pentagon is confronting and not saying clearly enough. The GBU-57 cannot penetrate approximately 60 meters of reinforced concrete before it detonates. Iran's deepest facilities are reported to extend 500 meters into solid rock, not 60, 500. The most powerful conventional bunker buster on Earth cannot physically reach the deepest chambers of Iran's underground missile cities. It can collapse entrances, it can destroy upper levels, it can seal tunnels, but the missiles stored in the deepest chambers of the deepest facilities, the ones Iran built specifically to survive exactly this kind of bombardment, may still be intact, may still be armed, may still be connected to launch systems through cables and tunnels that run to secondary exits the bombs haven't found. And the Pentagon knows it, which is why the coalition has now shifted to what military analysts are calling the entombment strategy. Instead of trying to penetrate and destroy facilities from above, B-1B Lancers and B-52s are dropping salvos of 2,000-pound bombs to collapse tunnel entrances and ventilation shafts, sealing the missile cities from the outside, trapping the mobile launchers and the missiles and the personnel inside, turning the fortresses into tombs without needing to destroy their interiors. The strategy has brutal logic. If you can seal every entrance and every ventilation shaft, eventually the people inside run out of air, water, power. Eventually the automated systems fail. Eventually the facility becomes inoperable not from explosions, but from suffocation. But here is the problem. Iran built redundancy into every single facility specifically for this scenario. Each underground base has up to several dozen separate entrances separated by hundreds or thousands of meters. Sealing one entrance with a 2,000-pound bomb does not seal the facility. It seals one door of dozens. And the doors are spread across terrain that American bombers are mapping in real time against an enemy that has been hiding these entrances with camouflage techniques refined over 40 years of knowing exactly this attack would come one day. And then there is Keshm Island, the detail that is perhaps the most strategically alarming revelation of this entire war. Keshm Island sits in the Strait of Hormuz, the strait that Iran closed, the strait that 1,000 tankers are anchored outside of, the strait that the world's most powerful navy cannot reopen. And underneath Keshm Island, beneath its famous Valley of Stars, beneath its salt caves and mangrove forests, directly beneath the narrowest and most critical point of the waterway Iran is using to strangle the global economy, lies an underground missile fortress that the IRGC has been building for years, directly under the ground zero of this war's most important strategic asset. Iran did not just close the Strait of Hormuz from above, it fortified the ground underneath it with missiles buried so deep that bombing the surface of Keshm Island cannot reach them. The missiles that keep the strait closed are protected by the strait itself, by the water above the island that American ships cannot sail through without being targeted, by the geography that Iran spent 20 years weaponizing underground. that is not a military strategy. That is a masterstroke 42 years in the making, begun in 1984, expanded every year since, revealed piece by piece as psychological warfare, and fully activated on February 28, 2026, when it demonstrated to the entire world that you can bomb a country's surface into rubble and still not touch what it built underground. The Pentagon is fast-tracking a next-generation penetrator weapon, lighter, smarter, equipped with sensors that can feel the difference between solid rock and hollow tunnel before detonating, delivering the explosion inside the missile gallery rather than above it. The weapon does not yet exist in operational form. It is being designed right now, in response to what this war has revealed about the depth and sophistication of Iran's underground architecture. A weapon being built because the weapons America brought to this war are not enough to finish the job. That is the confession embedded in the procurement decision, the most powerful conventional bunker buster ever built, carried by the most advanced stealth bomber ever flown, dropped with the most precise targeting systems ever developed, and it is not enough. Not for what Iran built underground over 20 years, not for 500 meters of solid mountain, not for 100 missile cities with dozens of entrances each, not for an automated rail system moving missiles through tunnels that nobody on the surface can see. 17 days in, 5,000 strikes, the most intense bombing campaign since Iraq, and Iran's underground missile network, the weapon that was never in any satellite photo, that was never inspected, that was never disclosed, that was built over 4 decades specifically for this moment, is still operational. Still launching, still keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed, still firing at Dubai, in Riyadh, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, and the USS Abraham Lincoln, from underground, from somewhere America cannot reach, from the secret buried deep in the earth that Iran spent 20 years building precisely so that when this day came, it would still be standing. Drop everything you are thinking right now in the comments. Can the United States ever fully destroy Iran's underground missile cities? Does this change how you see the outcome of this war? Subscribe to this channel immediately. Share this video with everyone who needs to understand what is really happening underground in this conflict. We will see you in the next one.